Our next guest calls today a big deal for Apple. Longtime analyst Gene Munster attending the event. Gene is managing partner of Deepwater Asset Management, is out in Cupertino, of course. Gene, great to have you with us. You just heard basically all of us say this wasn't such a big thing. So explain to us why this is a big thing in your view.
Well, just simply the math that they announce a new hardware product category once every 5 to 10 years. So that puts it in a special case for a company that is very measured in terms of how they make these announcements. They never jump into a market. So that's noteworthy. And I think another piece why this is a big day is to look at the actual device itself. Understand that the commentary around waiting, this is going to take many years to grow into a big business. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But I do want to point out two things that make Apple product innovation great. There were two product features in here that no other mixed reality headset has. Number one is the ability for the user to have their eyes on the real world at the same time. There is a primal instinct with humans. This may sound obscure, but a primal instinct that when that humans want to have some form, even if it's a passing, their eyes on the real world. That's one of the reasons why MR headsets, VR headsets have not taken off. They picked up on that. I was glad to see that. Second is gestures, and eyes are what is the controlled interface for this. That's important so you don't have to have complicated ways of interacting with these devices. This is important. Ultimately, it will take time for the use cases to form, but they are off to a great start when it comes to the technology piece. The price is prohibitive. All of that's true, but you just need to take a step back. Look at the bigger picture here. Our collective lives are going to have a kind of a spectrum of devices we're going to use. And I believe eventually 10% of Apple's revenue is going to come from this wearable.
Hey, Gene, it's Karen. Thanks for being on. So just how do you think this $3,500 price, we all talk about, that's going to really shut almost everyone out of the market. How do you see the evolution of this product and the price, let's say a year or 2 years out? What's a mass-ish for them market for this?
I think it's below $1,000. It's a light year away from where we're at today. And I would also add that I think that there's going to be a family of products around here. We are hyper-focused on this announcement today, but Tim Cook has long talked about the power of augmented reality. This is not augmented reality. This is a step before it. Augmented reality is more or less glasses. But to answer your question, Karen, I think it's sub $1,000, $700 actually is I think where it starts to get mainstream. And if you're going to ask me what year we're going to get to that, it's probably 5 years from now, 2028. So we're many years out. The good news is that a little of this is priced in. Investors are going to be wait and see approach. A little of it's priced in, and there is optionality as we start to see a family of products come out. The price comes down. I think it gives room for Apple investors to get more excited about what the segment can do.
The other big thing that happened today, Gene, of course, is Apple hitting an all-time high. So how do you think about the valuation here, given what you've seen today?
So I think that there's a shift in how investors are viewing the Apple story. This is not about how many iPhones they're selling in a quarter. It's about the active base. We've seen that trend in the stock over the last 6 months. I think mathematically that base is going to keep rising, and I think that this can still should have a premium to consumer staple companies, Coca-Cola. If you look at Procter & Gamble, Clorox, those all trade in the mid-20s multiple. I think this should be in the low 30s. So I think that there is upside. This is not a stock that I think is going to triple in the next 3 years. If that's what you're looking for, that's not what Apple's going to deliver. But I think a company that can continue to, a store that can continue to move higher, I think it's going to happen because that active install base is going to continue and grow, and investors can sleep well at night knowing that that's growing, and that means higher multiple.